got it sorted? Is it recording? Or do I need to set
Yeah,
up?
it's recording, bro.
It is it? Right, let's go.
Apparently.
We just start now. People are joining and stragglers will drop by as we're recording. So obviously, welcome to PT Mycelial.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Mate, do you know what? When I first started setting up these podcasts, I said to Shroom that the one guy that I want to get on is Mycelial Madness because his blob, the mutations are the sickest I think I have seen come out of anywhere. And I just need to know.
Man, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of patience. I mean, I can't really stress that enough when it comes to the blob mutations. I mean, the waiting game is what it's all about. You really learn to that trait about growing and about yourself is the wait and the patience that goes into it.
I bet. Do you, well, we get into your method for it. I suppose for anyone who's obviously listening, and I don't know too much, obviously only from what we've spoken about. But give us a bit about yourself. How did you get started? What's your main goals, interests, hobby? Obviously, your hobby is mycology.
So
give us a little introduction about yourself.
Yeah, so originally I was I have an art and construction background. I built houses and shingled houses for years. Got into graffiti at a young age. Did several murals in my local town. I'm originally from Indiana, South Bend, Indiana. So where the Notre Dame Fighting Irish are. It's a little college town, north Indiana, and got into growing cannabis. I don't know, about 15 years ago now, and everything's super illegal still in Indiana. You know, there's no rec weed, there's no mushrooms, there's no nothing. They just passed liquor sales on Sunday a couple years back, so you couldn't even go to a liquor store and buy beer on Sunday in Indiana. So needless to say, I moved up to Michigan, and that's when we really got into the cannabis a little bit more. And we always grew some mushrooms on the side. It was kind of more just a small hobby thing for medicine, for personal use, and never really scaled it or anything like that. Never got into genetics or anything super crazy for a while. And then the pandemic hit, and here in Michigan, right around that same time, recreational marijuana legalized in Michigan, and the price of cannabis just fell out the bottom. So we kind of switched from the cannabis industry, and at that same time, the decriminalization of entheogenics was happening out in Detroit and Ann Arbor, Jackson. There's a few areas and counties out here that are decriminalized. So we kind of switched our focus from that to the mushrooms. And that really, opened up a whole new passion for things, the growing side of it. That's when we really started learning about the varieties, and then we ran into these blob mutations, and we got some extremely good genetics several years ago from Chris Aaron, Ape King Kong, from BC, Canada. And we attribute a lot of our some of our core stuff to some of the things that we got from him before he stopped selling genetics and went the legal route up there. And then that's kind of the start of how we found it really turned in from a hobby into a passion, and now we're turning it from a passion into a career with the way that things are kind of set up out here. They have a few different like retail locations where we actually have our products in those stores. So that's kind of helped build our
That's
brand.
helped you to grow.
Yeah,
Yeah, your brand is the way, I suppose your graffiti background comes into it a lot, because the way your brand looks, like when you're scrolling Insta and you're looking through it,
I
it's
appreciate
fucking
that.
it is sick. You can really see that graffiti, that artistic flair that you've
Absolutely.
got that
I
comes through
appreciate
with it.
that. Yeah, we take a lot of pride in the aesthetics and just the whole product in itself, what we're building. And yeah, it's we wanted something a little different, something that just went against the grain, just kind of like the mutations. It's not your normal mushroom, from appearance to potency. So there's a lot of I like to think correlations between our aesthetics and our products.
So
Definitely.
is that what you would think is sparked your interest in mycology? What you were just saying then, or is there
Yeah,
something else
I
before
mean,
that?
I would say that was like the initial spark. Was the just seeing how the industry was growing and it being that you could do it now. I guess was that initial
Right.
spark, and then doing the research and finding out all these benefits to the psilocybin and what it's doing.
Right.
I was a little bit further of my background. I was an athlete. I grew up playing sports, heavily into football, wrestling, contact sports. And
Right.
now looking at the research behind the traumatic brain injuries and what psilocybin doing for the athletes and for our veterans that have gone through those types of things. And then, looking at, myself and my daily use of psilocybin, and microdosing and getting off of, the antidepressants and the mood stabilizers and stuff like that. Dealing with, I've always dealt with a seasonal depression ever since a teenager. I have, anxieties that I was prescribed medicines for, and just getting off of all those pharmaceuticals into a much more natural remedies has really pushed that from just a little spark into a passion, and being able to provide clean, consistent products to reputable retailers. We pride ourselves in that as well, and in helping the community.
Yeah, definitely. Would you like to delve a little bit more deep into you say microdosing, stuff like that? Do you want to talk more into how it's helped you? How
Absolutely.
stuff
I
like
mean,
that, you know?
just there's a ton of. I mean, personally, I've dealt with, like I said, always dealt with a depression, and
Yeah.
I was prescribed, SSRIs at a young age. I want to say I probably took them, not even until my 20s, and just dealt with it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Where it was more cannabis use or alcohol. Just figuring out how to cope with those types of things. Right?
Yeah.
Psilocybin I have no.
Oh, I think we lost him. Let me
Yeah.
call him back up.
I think you cut out
I thought
there.
that's gone quiet.
Yeah.
I just invited him again. Might have dropped
Yeah.
or something.
Oh, you
There
lost
we
me
go.
for a
Back.
second. Yep,
Yeah,
I'm back.
maybe signal drops.
Yeah, most of. Um, I don't know where I was at, but
So
You were
with your
speaking about how you struggled with anxiety and depression at one point in your
yeah,
life.
yeah, absolutely. And then just the pharmaceuticals that they prescribed you for it just left me
Nasty
in
stuff.
that in that zombie state, and
Yeah,
never
yeah,
that never gave you that full range of emotions. And
right.
it just was not. I then had children at a real young age too. So before I was 20 years old, I was a father already. And I didn't want to not enjoy those full range of emotions, even though the depression was, you're feeling, really sad. Just finding different ways to cope. And through my early 20s, that was, alcohol, or just different things. Um, am I still here? Why, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
still
Okay.
here.
yeah,
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
All
bro.
right. I
we'll
went
let you
dark again.
know.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
what do you think's helped you the most? The microdosing side, or even just like a heavier journey side of it?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of the both.
Yeah,
I don't think that any one thing is the fix all, solve all solution. You know what I mean? Like,
that's one of the biggest things to press there, I think, as well, is that a lot of people
yeah,
I find come into it thinking that it's a be all and end all. Once they've got it, once they've taken some psilocybin, they're cured. There's no
yeah.
cure. There's a lot of work that goes on that you got to do on yourself in the meantime.
Absolutely. And a
Definitely.
big part of that for me is meditation. So my grandma, she practiced yoga and super consciousness through meditation for the better part of 60 years. She actually just passed away in February, but she published several books back in the 70s about this stuff, before it was ever popular, or mainstream. She was the weird grandma, practicing yoga in her basement, but she taught it every day up until the day before she passed away. And she died of natural causes at 96 years old, and had a more healthy mindset than 90% of the individuals you'll ever run across. And that was a big inspiration to show me, hey, you don't just need, it's not a substance or a medicine, or this. At the end of the day, it's going to be a mindset. It's going to be that inner, finding that inner connection. And I think that that's where those heavier doses can really open up, your consciousness, or even the idea to, okay, that there is something, beyond the depression, or beyond the physical here, or there's so many different paths that it can take you. But you know getting, partnering, more than just one thing, I definitely feel like is the way that you
Mm.
gotta
Yeah,
take
Yeah,
some
defo.
of
So
it.
definitely.
you
Yep.
so you mentioned microdosing. Obviously everyone's dosage is different. Do you want to give us a rundown on your dosage? Like, I'm following the Paul Stamets, 5 stack on, 5 stack off, etc., etc. I'm just curious,
Yeah, so
on what you
so
on what
mine
you're following.
mine's yeah, so it's a couple days on, and then I'll take a couple days off. And it really, I don't have like a strict regimen, I want to say. You know, I
Yeah,
really I
neither.
Yeah, I really play it, by my mood and by the seasons. Like I said, I know,
Yeah,
I'm really more familiar with my body now, and how, what's going on, with it. So I know that in the wintertime, or in those seasons when I'm not getting the sunshine, I'm not getting to touch the grass,
right.
those things, that regimen needs to be higher, or needs to be more regular. But yeah, having,
Yeah, that's
usually it
usually
is,
when the
uh
depression comes out, right? In those
yeah,
colder months.
yep,
No,
Did
yeah.
you ever
seasonal
Get,
try
depression, we
I'm
Did
call
you ever
it.
try the seasonal lamp?
I'm sorry. What'd you say?
Did you ever try? Have you ever seen those the seasonal lamps? I think they're called.
Oh
In
yeah,
Small
yeah,
lamp.
you could, because the what is it? Is it SAD? I think they shorten it to, don't they? SAD is it's basically the winter time when there's less sun. Is I think where it all stems
yeah.
from. I suppose it's, what is it? Vitamin D, I suppose.
So I mean, here in Michigan, we get, during the winter months, I mean, it's quite a bit of dark for, I don't know, 16 hours or so. It's dark. So,
Oh wow, I can see why.
yeah,
I thought Britain was bad.
yeah, no, but then, summer times, we get, it's the opposite.
So just touching back on mushrooms, obviously with your mutations. So the Kraken, was that your first mutation when you first found that?
So,
What was your
um,
process behind that?
a lot of the Kraken wasn't our first, but it's probably our most notable, as far as like unique morphologies go. And it came from choking some stuff out and generations of cloning that same thing. And really it's been so it came from mutant gates originally. And it's been we've stabilized it now over about 3 years is when we originally was able to get that morphology, and we've stabilized it now over that amount of time. But it took a lot, and it's harder to clone than most. Just there's not a lot of material to it, and it just didn't take well. It wasn't as vigorous, I guess you could say, in the cloning process.
How did you find? What about fresh air extraction and CO2 control? Did you find any benefits, or have you got like a balance, if that makes sense? Whether that's
Yeah.
case castings, worm castings, or even manure-based substrates. Give us your input on that.
Yeah, so we don't use any casing on our stuff, and a lot of it is the heavy CO2. The Fey is very minimal, especially through the first like 30 days. We'll add a little bit more through the back half, but it really likes to be choked out. Another
Yeah.
thing is our size, our style of um, um, tubs that we run.
So I was just
I've
about to ask that.
I've not seen. I believe that that's a big contributor to our success as far as coverage goes too, and consistency with some of our yields is
Mm.
our particular style of tote that we're using.
So what's your go-to then? What's your with your tote boxes that you're using? Are you going for the deep ones or
No, so they're going to be super
they're
short.
essentially secrets because we need to grow some blob mutations like you've got
Yeah,
going.
yeah, well, you got me here. I'm gonna let a few of the secrets out. You so a lot of our totes are really short. They're short, wide, and long. We're filling them about 4 inches deep and packing it tight, and our where the holes that get put in are about an inch apart, and we're only putting them. They're only about a quarter of an inch holes, and they go all the way around the tub. Um, and they're going. You're going to do them about 3 inches from the top down, and and we're double taping them. Tape them with micro pour tape, and then masking tape over top, so that once we're ready for the Fay, we introduce that. But it's we keep them really close to the surface, or the same level as we have our bulk on there, or our substrate, I should say.
So are you doing the short sides of the tub? Are you doing those at the same height, or do you do those higher?
No, we do 90% of our stuff at around an 8-inch tub height.
Okay.
Are you using liners? And I've noticed you're saying we a lot, mycelial. Do you wanna give a shout out, or Do you want to
Yes.
elaborate
Well,
on
so so
who you're doing this with?
yeah, so it's not just a one man operation. I have a partner,
Cool.
and he
Want to give him a shout out?
yeah, it's my partner Rusty. He's currently dealing with larynx cancer. He was diagnosed
Oh
shortly after
no.
March 1st, and we've been dealing with some of those issues, and he's not able to really talk too much, and when he does, it's a little raspy. But yeah, Rusty, my man Rusty, and then his boy Jimmy, he helps out with a lot of the cleaning and stuff like that. So like I said, we do we provide a lot of stuff to the stores in our areas. So there's a production that line, I guess you could say, and there's a few moving parts.
Right.
So I don't like to take the sole credit for any of what we're doing. It's definitely a group effort. None of this could be possible without several of these moving parts. So we're
Mhm.
definitely hoping for a quick and good recovery for Rusty. Um, and
Definitely.
other than that, we're just trucking along. But yeah, that's the we behind Mycelial Madness. So you'll often see me post that. I'll in my comments, or when I'm recommending something, you will often hear me speak in a we form, because it's not just me. Absolutely not.
No. Yeah, for sure. Rusty sounds like a good person. Maybe in the future we can get him on the podcast. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. He would love to talk one of these days. So it's getting
Yeah.
him back better. And yeah, absolutely. But he's listening in. So he's here
Awesome.
and sends all his best wishes.
That's
So
great to
yeah.
hear. Well,
Yeah,
shout
man.
out Rusty. I was gonna say, would you like to speak on some of your challenges, or some of the biggest challenges you faced when you were first starting out? Whether that's you, Rusty, and everyone else on your team who's helping out.
Repeat the question. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I said, yeah, go on, Platty.
I wasn't talking, but yeah, okay. He was saying about what's some of the biggest challenges you guys have faced so far. Obviously, because now you've got your stuff out in the stores.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, some of the biggest challenges out here is, honestly, it's the haters. It's once you do see some
oh,
of the
how sweet.
success, as soon as you see some of the success, people want to, report you or want to, run their mouths and just kind of try to drag your reputation in the dirt. And that's been one of the biggest hurdles, is just once you really put your name or put your product out there, there's an immediate mostly good, but you have a percentage of hate mail, I guess you could call it, right? And how do you cope with that, or how do you deal with that, not backlashing or talking shit back and whatnot, you know what I mean? So I guess that's one of the biggest hurdles too, as well as just the legality side of it out here. um it's this real small concentrated area that has this decriminalization that has happened, where none of the rest of the state, none of the rest of our area is in any type of form of that. So where we currently, like, the main part of our operation, without like saying too much, but we're not in that safe zone all the time. um so that's one of the biggest hurdles too, is uh trying to get your name out there, as well as not staying enough under the radar to not get thrown in prison over it still.
None of us want to do that. That's for sure. It's wild though. Just going back on like just people hitting that wall, like of haters or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think that there's so many of us doing, because within mycology, there's so many different parts. Like obviously, I'm running a community. You've got people out there that are breeding genetics, then you've got others out in there trying to get their stuff into stores. You've got obviously you guys doing mutations, and there's so much to it, and there's something for everyone. Like
Yeah.
if they just
There,
realize that if we did all this together, if we build each other up, then we'd get a lot further. The problem is none of us can build anything far enough to be able to, without obviously putting in fucking weeks or days of work sometimes trying to rebuild yourself because someone's started running their mouth for some reason. And
Yep. Yeah, it's tough, it is tough. And and that's where reaching out, you reached out to me to do this podcast a while ago, and I believe you were the one that even reached out to Mike and them about the culture cave, and we need more people like you in the community that are spreading, the awareness and getting the hands shook and the introductions made, because there's so many good people, and the more good people that we can band together, it is going to be harder for these haters to infiltrate and report and get content taken down. And really, at the end of the day, we're all trying to help people, that whether you're breeding the genetics, you're providing product for retail stores, or whatever facet of the hobby right now that you're doing, it is, to help. So and I feel like, yeah,
Definitely.
the hate gets in front of the help far too often.
well, I think
Okay,
that's the
so
biggest thing for me, and one of the biggest things for the podcast, or for me wanting to start a podcast, is because there's so much bad publicity about certain people, and then but just showing people and letting people decide for themselves. Like let's hear these guys speak. Let's see what they're about. Let's see where they're from, and then everyone can make their own decision. Then, rather than
Yeah.
a load of backhanded bullshit that comes from half the people, like I've never even fucking spoken to. I doubt you've spoken to half the people that have got an issue with you. It just seems that
Right.
everyone wants to bring someone down just because they can't do it themselves. When if they realise we all just
Right.
group together, it would be so much easier. But
yeah, well,
Absolutely.
that's it.
Um, yeah. So
So
that's a
we
real
actually got a
real good.
question from one of the members in the chat, Hypno Mind, and they were asking, is there anything else you grow besides mutations?
Yeah, so we do some of the normal cubes. We do most of the predecessors to the mutations, right? So like the tattoo, that came from a tat that we had. We mutated that one ourselves, and we do run some other just normal cubes. We run it again. This is from Ape King. Kong from BC, Canada. We run his Tamponensis medusa that throws the truffles on them. That we run that variety, and a few others. We don't post the other cubes as much. One, because Instagram wants to flag anything that looks like a mushroom, right? It, so
Yeah.
so that's one of the big things, and we don't run as much of them. That's not necessarily, and that's kind of what led us to the mutations in the first place. Is the demand for the fruit out here was higher. So that's what originally, like, okay, well, maybe we should look into this a little bit more, and just that's what sparked that initial, like, okay, let's try the mutations. And then they were so fucking cool, and different and unique. That's where it was like, well, I love these. Let's and there's more types of them. We originally had Enigma, tidal wave 2, the original mutation of it, and that's where it all kind of sparked, and realizing that it there you can get this from different mushroom predecessors, and you can get different, they're holding different potencies and different morphologies. It's not all the same coral brain, and that's where the real fun side of it started coming out. Okay, well, what can we create next? What's the weirdest thing that we can pop out? What's the craziest? What's the fastest? Which one's going to be the most potent?
So obviously a lot of mutations, they thrive under high CO2 environments, right?
Yes, sir.
Have you had any experience using UV lighting to cause mutations?
And so I had no, we haven't. In short, no, we haven't. I've wanted to look into it. We keep it pretty consistent. With the UV light, we use a little bit here and there, but we haven't used it in any extreme ways to cause any conditional stuff yet. But it is
Right.
something that we have discussed, looking into in the future, for sure, for sure. But having ourselves, no.
Just jumping back from back to where you were saying about local shops. We had a question from Triptronics. He was saying that you mentioned about selling to local shops. Are they local to Ann Arbor or Detroit, where there's a bit more
Yeah,
decrim there?
yeah. So this is going to be Ann Arbor, Detroit, Ypsilanti, Jackson, and this is all Michigan, and it's all kind of localized to the east side of the state. Those are all like connecting counties as well throughout there. And so, and that's just in that one area in Michigan. Yep.
I suppose you've always got to have one eye on what's going on as well within the laws to make sure that, obviously, even to just open up where you can go next or where you can start shipping to, or because does that play a part in it? Obviously, shipping wise, because
Yeah,
if you have to cross state lines, I don't know if that plays a part in any of that.
yeah. So a lot of the shops out there, it's going to be illegal. But once it's there, it's decriminalized, and it's still illegal. We're talking about decriminalization. So they basically just can't charge you with any felonies or anything like that. You can still get fined. They can't arrest you. But like the stores, they can come in and they could raid them if they wanted to, take product and fine them. Really, it's going to be how are you operating them, and like in what fashion, right? So a lot of them
That
are
was
like,
a similar thing to what they did with the weed when they decrimmed it out there. They were going in and raiding places and just taking the cash and the
the
product.
product, yeah, and just trying to make it hard for you to operate.
Yeah,
And not a lot of that has happened. Some of it recently, actually recently in the last couple weeks, there was a few the stores in Detroit that just got raided. And again, it was a new mayor. I think a lot of it just has to do with politics rather than anybody actually doing anything wrong. Which is the sad part of it. A lot of these stores, and I don't recommend you just go into any of them, or there is definitely reputable places and there's shady places that you can get your stuff.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
like
Still do
anything.
your research on it, though. You still
Please
got to
still
do
go
your
do
own
your
research.
research. Yeah, just because they're selling it in a store somewhere in Michigan, don't take it as the real deal. Don't take it as high quality product. There's still things. It's still unregulated, and that's part of it too. Like getting a regulation process put in place out here, where things will get regularly tested. Things will be have labels and warnings and stuff like that. We try to already put a semi, regulatory thing put in place amongst several of our stores, and then there's a couple other growers that we know out here too that provide stuff to the stores, that we try to be on the same page as far as keeping quality control, I guess you could say, up to par between us, at least.
Yeah, you got to keep a standard, haven't you? You got to build your own standard, because no one's got it at the moment. You guys are all, this is all new to everybody, so you've got to
Right.
try and start setting a standard. I
Yep.
love that. That's what you're actually working with people to do that.
For sure. I mean, that's a big part of it. That's why we take as much pride into the cleanliness and all that side of our product too. It's we take that extra step, because we know that it's going to be, a lot of this stuff is being used as religious, stuff, or it's not just for the fun trip. A lot of these people are really using it for these medical benefits, and you want to give them a high quality, clean medicine in that sense.
Are you locally testing it, or are you sending it out?
We don't test much of our stuff. There's one local tester that works with one store out here. Um, and I've not done any testing through them themselves. But we were looking for a consistent source out here at some point. But there's really no testing that's being done as far as those standards go. And I think that that's a thing that needs to happen as well. I think that every batch that goes to a store should be tested. So,
Most definitely, especially with these blob mutations you're doing. That stuff is strong. I know there's a few folk that'll argue that blob mutations are just regular strength, but I disagree with that personally.
yeah, yeah, I would have a long, conversation about which mushrooms you've had that are stronger than some of the blob mutations, and they vary. I'm not going to say, that every blob mutation's the strongest. There is a range in them, even amongst the same ones. So, just for example, our the Enigma Tidal Wave 2, the original that we run. It has the real tight brain formations. It grows really dense and really slow. It's a 63-day finisher. We have a different which we cloned off of it, and through several generations, it became much faster. It's the clamshell, and we have cloned that exaggerated fin morphology, right, and tried to replicate that. And over the generations now, it has, it's almost looks like a flower in a lot of the bins. The way that it grows in these, really, like kind of like the coral, but like a ribbon almost, formation. And then it'll have, little tight clusters that resemble clamshells. But it finishes significantly faster, in between 30 and 40 days. But the potency does not seem to be as potent as the original tidal wave version. They came from the same thing, both a blob mutation. So I think that duration does have a part to do with the potency. There's some correlation there that these faster finishing blobs may not hold the same potency as some of the longer growers, the slower growers.
Right.
Yeah.
And for everyone who, obviously, everyone who's trying to source your genetics in particular, where can we get them at? Do you want to give a shout out to your website, your Instagram, etc., etc.?
Yeah, so the Instagram is mycelial, and then it's period_period madness. So it makes a little face there in the middle. That's the Instagram. The genetics are going to be exclusively available through the Culture Cave. store. That's the only place that we're going to be offering any of our genetics ever right now.
Okay.
Exclusively through them. We up to this point have never sold any of our genetics
Right.
ever. It's something that we, obviously we know how to do some of the stuff, but it's not anything that we've thought about it for a long time. We had a drop that we had planned on doing with a store out in Jackson. It was a store. I don't even need to use their name, but it was a cannabis seed provider, and again, just things didn't align. And then a couple months back now, that's when Q and Blue and Mike and all of them reached out, and it just it made a lot more sense to do it this way, and to do it with this group and everything like that, rather than any other way. And how we're planning on doing it is we're going to do a monthly drop of probably 3 to 4 different strands, different isolations done by us, and then we're going to probably drop one of the predecessor strands, so one of the ones that we mutated into these blobs, so it'll have the mutation capabilities, or if you wanted to run it like a normal cube, something like that. Then we plan on having everything together and the store open up. We want to shoot for the 13th, so Saturday the 13th. Put it in everybody's date book. Get your first drop of Mycelial Madness genetics ever released to anybody. And we're going to do them in, our custom packages. I've posted some of those videos online, and some of the, renderings that we've done of those, but they're all hand painted, hand, crafted, custom, one of a kind. Everyone won't match the next. So, it's just, again, some of that art twist I wanted to throw on it with a uniqueness that the mycology community hadn't really seen, or I haven't seen it amongst it yet. So
Definitely.
I'm looking forward to it. So is that going to be on the, with you doing your drops on Culture Cave, are we going to see that the other side of the pond, or is that going to be US based only?
I'm sorry. You gotta repeat that.
Oh, sorry. It might be me. Yeah, with your genetics, obviously you're going to be doing your drops on Culture Cave monthly or every couple of months.
Yep.
Are those genetics going to reach it across the pond?
Yeah,
Or are they
I
US-based?
plan on it being international shipping. So, and everybody's got to bear with us a little bit, you know what I mean? So, like I said, this is the first time that we've done any type of genetic sales. We're going to, make sure that everything's really quality and everything like that. So, figuring out logistics and everything like that. We do some shipping of certain things. So, but yeah, we plan on being able to get it over to you guys across the pond. Absolutely. I would love to get it over there.
Yeah,
That'd be awesome.
I'd love to have.
Obviously, once you get them over, me and Platty, we can spread the love. We can help spread them out to everyone in the UK as well.
Yeah,
I
no,
just want to point out, because I've just spotted him in the audience, is that we was talking about getting your stuff tested.
yes.
You've got the best guy in the audience for it. Triptronics is already in it. You just drop him a message.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that'd be
So
brilliant.
I I've seen some of their stuff, and I definitely plan on reaching out, and we're gonna get some things going. I want him to talk to a couple. Yeah, I have a whole agenda of people I need to reach out to and stuff. Like, I'm actually looking through my notes right now. But yeah, he is on my list of individuals to reach out to in the near future about several things. So I'm glad he's listening. And no, absolutely, I look forward to talking with you. And I have several different ideas and things that I think you'd be interested in. So I look forward to linking up with you, buddy, for sure.
I saw Heifel dropped a comment. He was asking about Are you looking to use any other mutations? I think it was. I'm just trying to scroll the message.
Yeah, so we definitely are, we'll always be looking to expand our catalog in the future. And we're seeing some of these new, I see it all the time now. Somebody will get a blob from this particular strand or this strand. I would love to work some of those things. And actually, shout out to Telly Monster. He just threw us a culture of the L Dragon blob that he had. So we're gonna try to work that and see if we can't stabilize some blob genetics off of that one. So yeah, absolutely. We're looking for different mutations. Anything that you guys think would be interesting to try to grow, or something that you've not seen, or something that's just weird. Love anything that's weird.
Well, now that you've joined the cave, you've got more than enough people that are qualified enough to be able to source those genetics from. That's for sure.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. No, the guys in the cave. I mean, big shout out to everybody that's doing the work behind the scenes. I mean, those guys are doing it for nothing. I mean, and crushing it. And they're doing it for the community. Another bring back to our conversation earlier for just individuals not in it for themselves. These guys are doing it for the group, for the community, for the movement, and all the right reasons. And I'm super happy to be a part of it. And yeah, can't thank those guys enough for what they're doing behind the scenes, for sure.
There's definitely a movement going on at the moment. It's just I just think giving that access to everybody, is, and just supporting everyone through it. And those guys are absolutely killing it at the moment with what they.
Yeah, supporting everybody through it too. I mean, that's a big part of it. Like a guy like me that's not ever done the genetic side of it, they've made and are making this transition. I mean, I can't imagine that it would be an easier transition. So, and I know that takes a ton of work for that to be possible. So yeah, it's different and it's great. And like I said, ecstatic to be a part of it.
I'm definitely glad that that everyone reached out to everyone, and we got this collab going, or what we collab, whatever we want to, whatever it's being called. But so oh, where was I? I lost my. So obviously, you must work. Do you work a lot more with, like if you go to your agar work, you obviously, do you prefer to go agar to bags when you're doing it, or you bags or jars? I suppose that's what.
Oh yeah, we're jars, and it's we really stick with just agar. Um, that's
You're
what
doing
we.
agar to jars,
Yep,
I am.
agar to jars. Yep,
And what's
yep.
your go-to grain and stuff that you guys are using?
So we use corn. We're a corn user. We use colored corn though, not your traditional yellow corn. So we're using we'll use like a blue corn or a purple corn often, and it's all organic, locally sourced through some Amish. Um, so it's some weird stuff, but it works well for us. Maybe it's overkill, maybe it's not, maybe it's just superstition, but it works well for us. So that's what we use.
If it works, stick with it.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
my.
I try not to be like, hey, this is the way to do it. You know what I mean? It's what works for us. If you feel adventurous and want to, step outside the box and try something different, there are different colored corns, and and again, like I
Richard,
said,
I didn't even know that, to be honest. Didn't even think of it.
they don't. Some of them don't hydrate as well, right? So you have to hydrate them longer. Each little color will have its own little quirk, I guess you could say. But as well as just any different grain that you are fucking with. So, but yeah, we use a colored corn for the most part. A lot of it has to do with just the mycelium growth in the jars. You can watch them, the color. You can indicate, contaminants a little bit easier than the yellow. We tried white, but that makes it a little bit harder, believe it or not.
How does it?
It just you can't see it, it's cloudy. It doesn't there's no contrast between you can't really see the colonization, if it's fully colonized or if you're ready for a break and shake, or the visual indicators are harder to see.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's a lot of agar colors that I find are a bit like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, similar to that. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
what's your go-to agar recipe for the mutations and stuff that you're working?
Nothing crazy. We get a lot of our stuff from pre-poured from Bass.
Oh, you get your plates from Bath. He's got some killer stuff. He does his
Yeah.
ready mix stuff as well, I've seen, which
Yeah.
I
We
wanted to try.
Yeah, we that's what we use a lot of the time. Just pre-mixed stuff. So we don't have any special recipe when it comes to our agar. Just standard, tried and true. We haven't really, like I said, we haven't done any genetic sales, so there hasn't necessarily been like a reason to make our personal plates a different color or anything too crazy. It's more for efficiency than anything. Um, yeah, the old school tried and true stuff. So no crazy secrets as far as our agar goes yet. Maybe in the future though.
So what have you got working on at the moment? Have you got anything in the background that you're looking forward to bringing out and releasing?
Yeah, so we really look forward to getting us some of this apparel out. So if you guys shout out to LXG Design on Instagram, Kevin, he is doing a lot of our going to be doing a lot of our apparel stuff that we're going to be have coming out. We're going to be doing these full print shirts. I've been posting the Veil Break one that we have in production now, so we're waiting to get some of the actual shirts in. But that should be happening here in the next week or two as well. So those will be available. So we look forward to that. What else? Yeah, just looking forward to the more legal side of the mushroom game now with these genetics, So that's kind of been our big focus over the last couple months now is getting all this stuff together for that. Just the stickers and the stuff that I like doing as well, the graphic stuff, getting all that stuff together. So
Yeah, that works. The way you match the graphics with your with your mutations is insane. I love watching the videos. You got one at the moment where you got like a giant like blob monster. It's absolutely fucking savage. I love it.
I appreciate it. Yeah, and again, we use some AI tools, but a lot of this stuff is gone into Photoshop or into Canva and put together. The AI helps. There's AI tools that use to crop backgrounds and generate certain movements and stuff like that. But a lot of it goes back to all of them were originally hand drawn to a certain extent. I got original sketches of a lot of these, blob mutation mutant heroes that we done. It's evolved over the years with the.
So they're your designs and then they're sort of uplifted. There must be so much work that goes into the background of it.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I had drawings of these guys for, years back that I've concocted in my head. I have doodles from, notebooks full of doodles of mushroom superheroes and mushroom, creatures and stuff like that I'd been, doing up. And then just with the capability of doing them so cleanly and so fast now, and just being able to get, yeah, it's pretty cool, and I'm enjoying that side of it as well, creating some of the media for it. It's fun.
Definitely. What advice would you give to new growers or newcomers coming into it?
Coming
Something
into
that
the
you wish
hobby
they did.
itself, or the mutations, because the hobby itself, I think it's, have patience. That I started with that at the beginning. I will, I'll harp on that always. Patience and cleanliness, especially with coming to the mutations. They take longer. I can't stress enough about just your habits about keeping things clean. It's not a fast process, so you have just that much more time for things to grow and things to go bad, and that much more time if something does go bad that you have invested into something. So go through your steps, and make sure you check them and triple check them and then quadruple check them. And then if you think you didn't do it again, do it again. You can't do it enough when it
Yeah,
comes
repetition is
to
key,
that
isn't it?
stuff. It really is, and train, just training your routine to do that. Some people may say that step's unnecessary, but if it gave you the best results, or the cleanest results, why skip it then? So
Definitely. And what about on your mutations? Was there a turning point where something that you did within your mutations just clicked? And
yeah, it really was, once we dialed in our bin, or that bin height that I was telling you about. We had tried doing them in the big totes, the taller totes, and just never really got that dialed in, right? It wasn't until we shortened them, and really maximize that, um the surface,
that ground level
yeah,
CO2, I
that
suppose, as
surface
well.
area with the ground level CO2. Yes, exactly. You're making that climate so much smaller. But our totes, though, too, they're wider, longer, you know beds almost, rather than a tote.
No, yeah, I've definitely got to try that. I normally go for whenever I do a mutation. I always think of going as a deeper tub.
Yeah.
For some reason in my head, that kind of makes sense. But yeah, obviously with what you're saying, also makes sense. So yeah,
So, and then we it's not as thick of a cake as you would think, so we're not flushing these several times. We go for one flush. They're the way,
just
yeah.
one and done.
Yeah, one and done with these. And that might just be our style of growing. We're doing it for, we're growing them for, a retail purpose as well, so that there is a economical, side to, okay, well, it's going to take another 60 days for another flush, or another 45 days for another flush. And you're not necessarily going to get that same yield off of it, or that same flush. So we maximize that first flush, I guess you could say. The cake's not as thick, but it is, you're adding much more moisture to the cake to begin with.
So what sort of ratio are you running on those?
I'm sorry, what?
What sort of ratio are you running with your grain to
Yeah, I'm
flush?
also curious on your substrate ratios. Ideally,
Yeah.
are you going a little bit over field capacity, because you got to account for the long fruiting times with these mutants, right?
Yeah, so we add a little bit more vermiculite to it to begin with, just to retain a little bit more water, not a ton more, and we are maxing out that field capacity. We're maxing it out. I mean, we want it as close to, oversaturated as possible, and that allows, throughout the process too, you don't want to, we try not to spray or add moisture during it. Because again, you're opening the lid, you're introducing more fresh air than you want to. It's just not ideal for it to begin with. So we try to add and keep the moisture levels higher in general.
Helps with that humidity.
Yep, keeping the humidity up higher and starting with a much more saturated cake than what you normally would. And then if you do have to go in and spray, don't spray the the mushrooms themselves. Obviously, but that's harder to do once you have that complete coverage of things, and the condensation will it'll bruise and almost rot the mushrooms from the condensation dripping on them. So you'll find spots that will go bad if you've moved or the condensation has dripped off the lid at the wrong time, or too consistently.
Would you agree? Would you agree in an ideal environment, you shouldn't really need to mist until after your first harvest?
Correct. So in ours is just one harvest, So
Right. Yeah. Of course.
I ideally it's a set and go. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to open them. I'm not trying to miss them. I'm trying to get all the things right the first time and let it go. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's the big trick to it, and keeping the totes low, keep them low. Yeah, they'll. Yep.
Have you got any advice to newbies who are getting into mutations, blood mutations? Any advice? Like my main concern would be is just being patient.
Yeah, that's it. It's gonna be
It's
like
fine.
you're gonna think it's stalled out, 30 days in, and it's not. Just wait,
No.
just wait. Don't go messing with it. They'll be opening their lids or spraying or that's what a newbie's going to end up ruining a perfectly good Enigma run. Is just
Exactly.
that worry and oh, okay, is it going yet? Is it going yet? Did I do something wrong? Because that duration is longer. It's much longer. So you gotta be
Well,
patient.
that's it, isn't it? Every time you open that lid as well, you're completely destroying the microclimate that you've built up for it. That high CO2 environment. Every time you open that lid and peek in on it, boom, it's gone.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
So what's your rough sort of fruiting times on say the Kraken that you've got going? What's a rough fruiting time on that? Because I remember
Yeah,
when I
so that
grew
that
the Omni Blue Wave that I've grown, I think that must have been, I think I was about a month before it really started thinning, if you like.
yeah.
Yeah, and then it was like another, I don't know,
So that
2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks on top of that. Yeah, I kept riding it
yeah.
and riding it, and it just kept growing.
From start to finish, like the average time is going to be 60 days. Like the tracking goes about 55 to 60. The mutant gates, that'll go 65 days. The blue brains will go 65 days. And you could probably push some of these further and get bigger blobs maybe, but at some point they're gonna rot from almost the inside out. They
End of
almost
life, yeah.
layer over certain spots. So there's like an ideal once you start seeing the blue, just really the first signs of it. And people be, you'll see on certain things, oh, you'll want to wait till it's soft. You don't want to wait till it's soft. If it's soft, you've waited too long. Another indicator is some of these blobs once ran too long, they give off that ammonia smell heavily. I mean, it's
Oh, yeah.
real bad, and it won't. That's the biggest indicator. Okay, you've this way too long. Um, And so, but there are ones that, and you're going to start seeing a lot more of these blob mutations finishing faster, um, much faster.
So you're going on as soon as you see that blue, for you that's ready to.
That's its indicator, it's done. Yep. That's it's trying to, that's its veil breaking in, blob terms.
Interesting. Yeah, I always push mine further, but there's just not out of obviously a lot more than I do. I've always been told, yeah, start like you said, like don't wait for it to go soft. I think I've always been told to wait for the blue to get a bit more and let it soften up a little bit before you harvest them. Whereas obviously growing cubes is a little bit different. You just wait for a veil to break or a couple, and then it's an easier set. It's an easier thing to see whether it needs harvesting or not.
Right. I mean, and that's just my experience, with them. And again, they're a little bit, some of them are a little bit different where, like like I said, the clamshell that's got like more of that ribbon, um, morphology. it there is no like density to it. You can't grab it and be like, oh, it's a squishier, it's squishy now, it's done. So there's different, morphologies to where, and you're really not one to go in there and squeezing them anyways, in my opinion. You're Once they're done,
Yeah.
we just go in and we harvest them. But yeah, once those first blue signs, that's when, we like to take them. That's when we find them, the most potent and the best smelling and the best tasting and having the best properties at that point.
Sick.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's good. Oh, what was that? Tyler Thurston. He's just put something. It was to somebody else, but have you? It was about reverts. Have you had many that have tried reverting or?
Yeah. So
How do you
so
combat that?
how do we come?
Because
How do we
yeah, it's
combat it?
funny. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that actually. Me and Platty recently are working the ITW genetics snowballs.
Yeah.
But they've reverted on plates. They're plain in and they just look like normal cubensis pins.
So yeah, we have a few that like have tendencies to throw reverts from time to time. Like they'll throw them in the bins, but not often will they, a bin completely revert. But we have had that happen, and I think it has to do with some environmental factors probably. And just the stabilization of that isolation in the first place. It
Right.
just it goes back to the genetics, and how stable is it? Because we have some that have never ever thrown a reverted fruit ever, and I don't think that they ever will. They're so far down the line now, genetically stabilized that yeah, I just
Forgot who it was.
yeah, exactly. It doesn't remember that.
That's awesome.
But I have noticed though that if you get a couple reverts in a bin of
They're
in a
coming
bin
up
of blobs,
on the plates. They are plins.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's I still wouldn't say that it could just be again the environment, the micro environment that the plate is under. It favors the fruit form rather than the blob form. You know.
Right.
So then putting it in, more blob conditions, it may still do blob
So
traits. Then.
are you saying there's still a possibility to throw the original mutation, that being the snowball looking fruits, when I do put it to when I do put it to grain and then when I do spawn it to bulk. Whereas on plates right now on agar petri dishes, is throw in normal looking cubensis fruit.
Yeah, yeah.
I think
I would
are
say,
you going on the putting it into that environmental conditions is what's then going to force it to
Well, like a high
correct.
CO2 environment. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So if you put it in a high CO or high environment, it should, want to pull those traits out rather than the normal fruiting traits, right?
right,
Um,
right.
in theory. So
Yeah,
I would
yeah,
definitely try that to revive that. And then again, just cloning from the most viable blobs
yeah.
that you get. What are the traits of that you're trying to replicate?
Well, that was actually going to be my next question, right? So with fruits, you're able to take it back to spore, right? You're able to isolate and stabilize it through spore swabs, etc. Um, whereas blob mutations, obviously, they don't produce spores, sorry. So it's just a consistent clone cycle, right? How do you how do you
Correct.
ensure I'm obviously going to butcher the word right here, but it's senescence. How do you make sure your cultures don't how do you make sure your cultures stay vigorous and they don't get lazy and old and don't want to fruit anymore? Because it's a
Yeah,
consistent clone cycle, right? And you
yeah, so we've
yeah.
seen some genetics that have just lost vigor. And how we've combated that is we're cloning from the most vigorous pieces again,
Right.
So I think that in itself has a lot to do with it. But we haven't ran into a whole lot of that yet. So hopefully we don't.
Yeah.
But
Like
yeah,
the Omni Blue Wave, me and Platy have been working, for example. We fruited it out, and I don't think we've ever gone past an F4 generation before putting it back to grain, fruiting it, etc., etc. Um, we've always tried to keep it like as fresh as possible and as most vigorous. So I just wanted
yeah.
to know your opinion on that, on how you keep mutations and blobs, for example, vigorous. Because obviously it's gonna get to a
I
point
guess I
where
guess a
they
big
get
part of
lazy, you
that
know?
yeah, I guess a big part of it is the fact that we are constantly fruiting our genetics, and
Yeah.
we're taking new clones. Um,
Right.
so that's I guess that I would contribute to the constant fruiting of these genetics. Like these aren't stuff that's just been sitting around or just going dish to dish or
Yeah.
LC to LC, anything like these are constantly being used and fruited.
so
Yeah.
on that, are you do you have a like a long term storage option? Do you go right that one there? We're going to call that whatever, and that goes to long term storage. So you've got that as a backup,
Yeah.
or
Yeah. Like you got to have
almost a
some
save
fan
point if you
favor.
like.
Yeah, you got
Yeah,
to have
so
some fan
I
favor.
have a bunch of stuff on, like we have everything on slants. So like we're able to like revive stuff if we were to lose a genetic or something like that. And we usually take different different ones of those throughout generations. Just okay, this was a particularly good grow, let's save some from that one too. So we have like a vault of several backlogged things from really aggressive grows from the past as well.
Yeah, so yeah, that's where I was getting to. Yeah, you trying to save those so that you can go back and rework them at some point, or
Yeah,
obviously, like you said, in case anything does go wrong, I don't know, it starts throwing
yeah,
something that you don't like anymore, or you can then revert yourself back. You can go back a generation or something like that.
correct. Yeah, yeah, if it just started doing some weird stuff. Yeah, so we've preserved a lot of our stuff. Yeah, I would say 99% of the stuff that we've done, we've got, you know, some storage of it. Yeah, another
What
one
other?
that we're really excited about is the Stay Puffed, talking about reverts. Because that originally was a singular reverted fruit from a bin of Cloud9. So that over a couple
So that was a single fruit, did you say, that came out?
yeah, it was a single fruit, and it had, again, no gills. It was more, they're almost like they grow with the stem, but the blob is on top, and the material up top
Oh wow.
is like a snowball, like the snowballs. I don't know if you guys have anybody has seen those like in person or grown those in person. Our Cloud9 is similar to like that kind of morphology, I guess, but it grows in big clusters, big blob clusters, bright white. Um,
Yeah.
and
And then you've had a fruit come out of that, have you, with it on the top?
Yes, we had one thing that just it kind of looked like a fruit. It just was shaped like a fruit,
Yeah.
but the whole thing was made of blob stuff. And I got some like pictures that we documented it all because it was just a weird revert. And we cloned that, and that's where the Stay Puff came from then. So it is a revert from Cloud9, which originated. That was a blob mutation from Black Betty Gates.
Interesting. So with that fruit, you've then cloned. I take it. So you clone that fruit, and then
Yes.
you then ran it again. Did you? What was it? A couple more pops up then, or did you get a tub of them, or
No, we were
what was your
able to get.
process in it?
Yeah, we were able to, off of that first generation, off of that first clone, we were able to fill bins out of it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that morphology really was vigorous. It wanted to continue, and we grow that one under the blob conditions, though, so it doesn't revert back to the blob, but it does grow these weird blob tops. So it's
I've got to see it. Is it on your Instagram?
yeah, it is on the Instagram.
Let me
Yep.
go find it. I'll put it in the chat. I've got to see it quick.
Yeah,
Mycelial, do you remember the first ever mutation you grew out?
yeah, so I mean the first one we ever got was the Enigma. And it's the same one that we run today. And we got that about 8 years ago, maybe 9 years ago is when we got like our first like true mutation, and that's what it was. And that's the one we fell in love with, just those tight brain coils that just it reminds me of some of the wild gills that you see, some of those pictures. That's just what it
Yeah.
reminds me, but the whole thing. And like I said, we got some real good stuff from originally came from Ape King Kong, and it was what started it all. Absolutely was the original Enigma.
I found it. Just saving it now. I'll put it in the. I could have just done the link. Thinking about it, probably would have been easier. It looks. I love the look of it. Is
Yeah,
that the one? Just put it on the chat. It's just got like a big bulbous head on it.
yeah. Look, kind of get to the bottom of the chat. Yep, that's the one. Yep.
Mate, they look awesome.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
wild. They're
Sick.
wild.
Oh wow! That's just amazing in itself. Off of that first one, that really wanted to survive. Off of that first clone of it, and you started packing bins.
Yeah. I mean I'm gonna see if I can't find the original of the picture of the little fruit. I know I got it somewhere. Um But yeah, no, so we're super proud of that one just because I've never seen a morphology quite like it.
No, yeah, I love the look of it. Yeah, you should be stoked with that. So we should be seeing this one on Culture Cave then. This will be going
Yeah,
on there.
we will release that at some point on Culture Cave. Absolutely. Let me see. Okay, here's the picture. Let's save that. See if I can't upload this. I'm not super Discord savvy. Um, I haven't had a Discord, so I just uploaded a picture. This is a bit. If you see right up front, there is a really tall
Oh
little
yeah,
guy
yeah, yeah.
right there.
And then it all came from that one, was it? That was the original.
That is the original. That's the original clone for the Stay Puffed, and it came off of that. This also gives a good example of my bin setup. You can really see the holes and the height that we use. You can see that it's not very far from the lid.
It's almost like those storage bins that you get to go underneath your bed, isn't it? Like the wide ones to
That's
store your
that's
clothes.
that's exactly what it is.
Is that what it
So
is? Oh, okay.
that's
Because
that's
yeah,
exactly what
no
it is.
problem.
So we use like the ones with the wheels on it work well too, and
Hmm.
then there's like ones that have just a little bit of a bow to the lid, like uh, add just a little bit of extra room. But yeah, those are the bins. They're about 3 feet long by 2 foot wide, and they're between 6 and 8 inches tall.
Yeah, yeah. I'm definitely picking some of them up. Oh,
Yep.
what's this? Oh yeah, someone just commented saying snowballish. It does kind of look like that. That
It
style,
starts
doesn't
off
it?
it starts off snowballish, but it doesn't finish snowballish. That's like very early into its growth. Let me find a picture of the finishing of that. But it grows. It almost looks like an overlay, how it will grow. Here's another picture of that same.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It does. Yeah. That overlay look to it, because there's a lot of arguments about the. What do you think about that? The argument between snowballs and overlay is pretty much the same thing. I mean, it looks similar, but I don't
I
think.
think I mean I'm on the argument that it's not overlay. I mean, I've seen overlay before and it just doesn't act the same in my opinion. I've never ran snowballs though, so I can only really speak on the stuff that we've ran.
Yeah.
But here goes another couple of them and like a little side cut. So it's like if snowballs all just connected together.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Damn.
Whoa.
What was of them in that second photo?
Do what?
They must be
Yeah,
nearly touching the
that's
lid, no?
giving big snowball vibes, that is. That's just a mycelial mass.
Yeah,
Wow.
they're solid though. Um, and they're pretty potent. Um,
They look it.
That mutant life is a different breed altogether, isn't it? Than from growing mushrooms to growing mutants. It's just a completely different ball game.
yeah, it is they're different. I mean, it's I can't grow some of the stuff that a lot of you guys grow, that for sure. I mean, it's a different like you said, ball game altogether.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting. I can't wait to see what else you've got coming.
And then here's a couple of the full. There's another picture of the Cloud9, but then there's these are the full bins of some of the Stay Puffed. So you can really see, again, the bases of those grow just like the Cloud9 does. So that back to that, is it overlay argument? Then the bases of these are that same
Yeah, I can see
quote
why you're on
unquote
the other side of it.
quote unquote overlay material. You know what I'm saying? Because this, you
Yeah.
can clearly see that it turned into a mushroom. That's a mushroom, stipe and stem and mass, and that's so that's my argument about it. But
What's your sort of, what was you saying was your grow time on those?
those the Stay Puffs. So they're about 25-30 days, and we did run 2 flushes on those before they didn't do anything, but we set them up
Oh no.
similar to where they were. There wasn't a lot left in the cakes. You know, we
Well, that's the thing with the mutants, I find, or those the mutations, is that when you're trying to harvest them, it just tears so much up. It's like a war zone afterwards.
Yeah. So in the other side of that too, like ours is going to, a lot of ours goes to a retail setting. So our harvesting methods are probably different than most. We leave a lot on the cake when we're done, because, and if you've ever grown a mutation, you know this, where it meets that cake, it fuses together. There's no like, okay, this is where it starts, this is where it stops.
Yeah, it just grabs hold of it.
Yes, and so we usually harvest about a half an inch above the surface level, right? So we leave quite a bit on there, and that gives you the cleanest cuts, that gives you the cleanest pieces. And then if you want to later, you know what I mean, go in and fine cut a bunch of stuff, but you are going to be much better off taking it about a half an inch. You're not going to run into any of that weird in between, where it's pulled up sub, or it gets a little crazy down there. So
So you just get in sort of like a bread knife and just slicing straight through it. What's
yeah,
your,
it's a real super sharp blade. We keep them real sharp, real large, and yeah, basically take it as evenly across it as possible.
nice? That'd be a technique in itself.
For sure. I'm gonna make some more content here soon of us like harvesting some of the
Oh
stuff.
yeah, that's right.
We're actually looking for new space that is more in I call it the psilocybin safety belt out here in Michigan. And within that little safety belt, to be able to produce more of this content and not have to operate so underground still.
Yeah, it's keeping yourself in that zone.
Yep.
It's a shame. It's a shame any of us have even got to do that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's sad. But everything's changing though. I mean, here in the US there was a executive order that got passed a few months ago, for the research of psychedelics. So that's at least a step forward in the right direction.
Yeah, it seems to be pushing in the right direction. It's slow,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think, and that again, it comes down to us building each other up instead of we got enough problems to deal with trying to get this out, trying to do what we're doing within the world that we're in, let alone fighting amongst each other while we're trying to do it. Just becomes carnage
Yeah.
and chaos. We'd grow a
Yeah.
lot quicker, spread the word a lot more if we just work together to do it.
More madness, less chaos.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right, we've been going for like I think like an hour and a half or so.
Yeah, we've been going for about an hour and a half. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, obviously, before we do start wrapping things up, is there anyone that you want to give a shout out to that's helped you get to where you are, and yeah, helped you find your feet? Obviously, I know you've got Rusty, your partner.
Yeah, I mean, recently, I mean, a big shout out to, Mike and, the BDG genetics. They out here really, they kind of took me under their wing as far as, a lot of the setting up this genetic stuff goes. Q and, Blue, I can't speak more highly of the group of individuals that got the cave going over there. So yeah, big shout out to them, helping out with trying to start us off in this this genetic game. And then as far as like out here in the retail setting, we got a few stores that we would shout out. I got Sublime Shrooms. They're big in supporting us these days with events and just really positive in the movement, helping a lot of people, as well as big shout out to my guys down there at Bongs and Thongs. All right. I know it's real funny, but they got some great stuff down there. A lot of bongs, not a lot of thongs, but you can definitely find some real good products down there, and some real good guys. So yeah, and then again, a huge shout out to my partner Rusty, and his boy Jimmy. None of this could happen without them either. And everybody, keep Rusty in your guys' thoughts, moving forwards with
Definitely.
diagnosis. So all that, and then Kevin from doing some of the design work for us. Big shout out to him. Like I said, that's LXG design Instagram. So you guys can find him on there. He does some super cool graphic stuff, does some AI stuff, but he also does not AI stuff. So if you guys are looking for original art that's not AI touched, he does that too. He helped out. I know he did some graphic work for Sport Eddie back a year ago or so. So yeah, big shout out to him. And then you guys here doing this podcast, big thanks for having me and thinking about me. And yeah, big shout out to you guys. You guys are doing great work, and I appreciate it.
No, thanks. I appreciate all of you guys, especially like I reached out to you. I think within a couple of an hour or so. I think you'd bounced back to me, and I was stoked because, like I say, I've been. I remember when I first started Platypus Technical on Reddit.
Yeah.
I think that's you joined the group, and I just remember seeing that Kraken come through, and yeah, since then I've just been in awe with the grows and that you've been pushing out.
Yeah, you've been awesome. No, I've been a fan as well since the beginning, and it's been cool seeing you grow and what you're doing and all that. So yeah, I definitely got to see at the beginning of your little journey too, man. So
Yeah,
it's
we've come
cool
a
to
long
see.
way.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, and there's a real bright future ahead of us and everybody in this community, so let's
Definitely, I couldn't
yeah.
agree more. Have we got any more questions before we finish up? Has anyone in the audience got anything they want to ask that didn't get answered? They've gone quiet.
They're going quiet. I'll
Maybe we
add
just touched on everything. Maybe I can see Mike C's typing, and yeah, I added you the other day, Mike. When are we going to get you on? We get him on anyway, but Yeah, mate. I just want to say thank you for coming on, sharing your journey with us, and showing us
Absolutely.
who you are.
Yeah, I'll come back anytime. So yeah, I look forward to speaking with you guys soon, and yeah, keep on rocking it, fellas. You guys are doing a great job. So
Appreciate it. You're definitely going to have to come back on and show us, maybe in a few months.
Yeah,
Show us what you got going on, and yeah, where you're going.
for sure. I appreciate it, and yeah, we'll all talk soon, guys. So, and thanks for everybody that tuned in, and yeah, supported us and supports the movement. So appreciate you guys.
Great stuff. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Yeah, take it easy, everyone.
Take care. Speak soon.